What's up, everybody? A loaded SEC Week 12 slate is upon us. Anybody on upset alert? Chris Marler will join us to discuss. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. Thank you guys for making us your first listen every day. A reminder, today's episode presented to you by our friends over at FanDuel, and you can start the season with a big return over at FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com today to get started. Our buddy Chris Marler joins us. And Marler, welcome in, man. What an interesting week 11 it was, as we saw Georgia get upset at Ole Miss. We see LSU just get demolished by Alabama and Death Valley. I was there. I think that Tiger Omar will never be invited back to Death Valley.
Yeah, you wanna apologize to me after trying to dunk on me in that video you posted? Like, oh, I'm making fun of Death Valley, and then what do you know? Got it right again.
Hey, we just when somebody goes so far off the deep end with their take, I always feel the need to push back. I have to explain the other side. I mean, yeah. I'm always right. Doesn't mean you're always right, but we have called. I mean, I said it on Friday's show. I said one of these upsets is going to happen. Either LSU will beat Alabama or Ole Miss will beat Georgia. And lo and behold, Ole Miss beat Georgia, and it wasn't the one I thought was going to happen, but yes, it was pretty crazy. And so we got an interesting slate this week. I hate the cupcakes late in the season. I just think and not every SEC team has it, but it's such like a deflator for any fan base. Like, let's just like a quick thought on Bama. Like, you get this emotional, awesome road win at LSU, and then you come home from Mercer. Like, I know the fans are excited because you have a good chance to win out and get to the playoff and all this. Yeah. Like, how do you get up for this game? How do you get excited for Mercer in November?
I don't care. I like winning. I like winning championships. I like winning. It sucks the families. By the way, Mercer's like a top 10 team in FCS.
9-1, yeah. I mean, they're pretty good.
Yeah, they have like some of the numbers I saw from like statistics and stuff like that too. They are pretty good. I mean, that's not condoning like playing this game necessarily. Here's the thing, like. If you're gonna argue against the FCS game, which is fine, like I get that some people are upset about it, and you can talk about like, well, like they should be playing a 9-game conference schedule. They should be playing, whatever else, at least all FBS teams or whatever. I get all that. At the same time, like Indiana is in the driver's seat. They have the second best. They have the second best odds to get to the college football playoff. They played the 100th ranked strength of schedule. So is that honestly better than playing Mercer and you know what I mean? Like, so I think when the year is up, I'm not gonna feel bad about Alabama playing Mercer, because if it means they got into the playoff, I would have traded that schedule and not have to go to Death Valley and not have to play Georgia, not have to play Vandy, like just to go play Purdue on the road,
Well, that's what I got into it with Kenton Gibbs, who he does and Locked On NC State and some stuff with the Locked On ACC, and he was making an argument about, oh, look at the SEC playing all these cupcakes in November and all this, and I was like, dude, like, because obviously Heather Dinich made some headlines this week saying like, well, 3-loss SEC teams shouldn't be completely out of it, and there's the scenario where, let's say Georgia wins the rest of their games, they go to Atlanta and lose to Texas in the SEC championship game. We'll look back and say this is still a Georgia team that has great resume wins over Clemson, over Texas, who they beat already. And so, like, you compare that to an Indiana who's played 0 top 25 teams, they're going to get Ohio State eventually. But, like, let's say they lose that one. How do we reward that? How do we reward you have 0 top 25 wins and the one top 25 team you play, you lose to? Like, to me, I don't know how we say that's better than Georgia, who, yes, has a couple losses, but we need to reward wins also. I said the most important thing that committee needs to ask is, who have you beaten? Right. That's we immediately go to losses. We immediately go, well, that's a bad loss. Why are we looking at losses? Look at wins first. And if you got 3 or 4 high resume wins, to me, that should cancel out your 2 losses.
No, I agree with that. I think it's a really good point. I think it's weird because it feels like it does shift from year to year. Like 2 years ago, it was like quality losses. Like we're talking about like Bama only lost to so-and-so by however many points. And it's like, they don't deserve to be in. They're 10-2. Like this year, I'm writing an article about this right now, like as we speak, about like you can really make the case that it's benefited teams, like from the committee standpoint, it has benefited teams to not play a difficult schedule. Like you will get Penn State is ranked 4th. They have no wins over any current ranked teams. Like, what are we doing? I don't understand that. Like the Georgia thing sucks. It's like they have played one of the toughest schedules. What's going to happen is Indiana's going to go 11-1, and Kirk Cignetti's going to say, "Listen, we played the schedule that we had." Like, you're in control of this. You make your schedule. Like,
right.
I know you didn't make the Big Ten crap. I don't know how they didn't face Oregon. I don't know how they didn't face Penn State. They beat their best win is against 5-5 Michigan. And listen, I think an 11-1 Indiana team probably deserves to be in. I really do. Like it's hard to go 11-1 in a Power 5 or Power 4 conference now, and then say that they deserve to get left out. But here's the other thing too. It's like are you honestly going to look at that and say Georgia would lose to that team? I don't think South Carolina would lose to Indiana, but this is something that it's what pisses me off more than anything. Every single year we talk about it, because it's like it's the one faction of fans that get most upset about the SEC playing Cupcake Week or whatever. And oh, by the way, you also have Texas going to Arkansas, Texas at Arkansas, LSU at Florida. Those are like long-time rivalries that have played like either other conferences or like cross-divisional rivalries in this conference. You also have a top 12 matchup that's another playoff elimination type game if Georgia loses, with Tennessee and Georgia. Like, and by the way, you have 2 teams playing an FCS thing. Like, give me a break. Like, yeah. Again, if you're going to use that argument over like, oh, this didn't play anybody, while you're looking at an Indiana team with the 100th ranked strength of schedule, it's a joke.
Well, let's just get into the SEC Week 12 slate, and just to kind of touch on the cupcakes real quick. Murray State is 1-9. They're at 3-6 Kentucky. Kentucky better win this one. That'll be their 4th win. They're going to have to win out, including a trip to Texas next week. I'll be in Austin for that one. But like, Kentucky should take care of business against Murray State. This is a get-right game. Get your offense looking good. Mercer and Alabama is intriguing just from a standpoint of, like you said, Mercer's 9-1, so they might maybe give Bama a fight for a quarter, a half, maybe something like that.
Never know.
But we expect Bama to win that one. New Mexico State is at A&M. It's funny because this is New Mexico State without Diego Pavia. They're 2-7, so
right.
So A&M shouldn't have any trouble with them. But the one non-conference that intrigues me, Marler, I know UL-Monroe is 5-4. They're not great, but they're at 3-6 Auburn. And this is the same exact week a year ago, Marler, that Auburn lost at home to New Mexico State and Diego Pavia. So it's like, dude, this is one where, and Auburn's about a 24-point favorite on FanDuel. They should win going away. But I just look at that one and go, if any of the cupcakes were to pull off the upset, that's the one.
Find you someone that believes and loves you as much as Vegas believes in Auburn. It is, dude, like 24 points. 24 points. It makes no sense to me, but good for them. I mean, like, they need a get-right game. They're coming off a bye week. Hugh Freeze has been traditionally good off a bye, I think. Actually, no, he's not. He's been terrible. Against the spread, he's been really bad off a bye week. I think that this game, you have got to figure out a way to get Peyton Thorne. Like, I think if it was up to Hugh, I think he would start Walker White or start the other kid, Hank Brown, as quickly as he can. But here's the other part too. He is like toying with the idea to take out Peyton Thorne. And the question is, like, should we start building for the future? Should we start doing this? Blah, blah, blah. But like, Deuce Knight is going to be on campus in like a couple of months. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're going to have more QB competition. What I think I see more than anything out of Hugh is, it's not that Hugh doesn't know what to do with this quarterback system. I don't think unless there's a clear front runner in that quarterback room, I don't know if he knows how to manage a quarterback room.
Yeah. No, I brought it up last week. I said, at this point, what are you playing for? Like, what does
Right.
starting Thorne do for you? I'd throw Walker White out there and go, hey, you're the big, highly touted freshman we brought in through recruiting. Sink or swim. Let's just see
Right.
what you got. Because what's going to happen is next year, if Walker White wins the job and he has struggles, what are they going to say? Well, he's a first-time starter. He's never started again. Well, that's your fault. Start him now. You have nothing really to play for the rest of this year other than getting your guys experience for next year. Let them start developing chemistry with those receivers. And I mean, that's my thought, but I know the coaches thing. Hugh Freeze is sitting there going, we're going to win out. We're going to win these last three.
Yeah.
We're going to get to 6-6. We're going to get bowl eligibility. We're going to win the Iron Bowl. No, you're not. It's not going to happen. But that's what they believe. All right, one more here before we move on. This is one that's been, I mean, historically, it's always been one of those great rivalry games. But with Florida being down, it's number 22 LSU at 4-5 Florida, and I think Florida's got a chance this game and next week. Now we'll see. The big question is DJ Lagway. Is he going to play?
Right.
You know, he almost played last week. He was warming up. If he plays, the way LSU's defense has defended running quarterbacks, and DJ's not a running quarterback, but he has running ability.
Yeah.
I think he can give LSU some problems. And I mean, Vegas agrees. LSU is only a 4-point road favorite in this one.
Yeah, that one's odd. That line stinks. But here's the thing: LSU, I'm taking the money line because I think it's. I don't think that they're going to lose 2 games in a row, especially in a game where, listen, they've won 6 out of the last 7 of these games. They've covered the spread in 5 out of 7 as well. I don't see them struggling with this LSU team or with this Florida team on the road. You know, Brian Kelly's got a lot to prove. I will also say this: I've been saying this all morning on radio. LSU fans, I know that it sucks right now. I know that it sucks. Like, losing to Bama like that is embarrassing and it's awful and all that kind of stuff. But I do get the feeling this is like one of those the night is darkest for the dawn type deals, because you look at like everything you had to replace, right? I'm just going to get on a soapbox here. If you're an LSU fan, you lost 2 receivers in the first round and a starting quarterback that won the Heisman Trophy. That's the second time in 4 years you had to replace that. No other program in the history of college football is having to do that kind of crap. You guys have had to replace that twice. Now you have not only you lose your defense coordinator because you fired him as the worst defense in program history, you get a new DC, 5 new defensive coaches in total. You lose your offensive coordinator to Notre Dame. You have all this turnover, and in year 1 of all that, you're trying to expect like, yeah, we should probably win. We should probably get to the playoff. And we have like you lost to a Lincoln Riley team early in the season, a neutral site. You lost to Bama, and then who's the other one? Then they lost to
USC.
So they only have 2 losses?
No wait. USC, A&M. Alabama, and A&M. Yeah.
A&M. So I get I get that you're upset. There's still a way they can get in. By the way, there's still a way they can get in if they can get to Atlanta, and it's not even that far fetched, Gordy. It really is not even that far fetched. So like then next year you're bringing in a 2025 recruiting class. It's one of the best recruiting classes in the country, and maybe one of the best you've ever had. And then 2026. The bumper crop of talent in the state is generational levels of talent, like on par with like the year when you had OBJ and Jarvis and all those guys. Like there's like really, really good building blocks to lay for like the cornerstone, I think, and foundation of a future of a program. LSU is just this far away. I think they beat Florida. They've struggled with running quarterbacks. I don't think they struggled this weekend because you got a white kid that went to Yale, and you got DJ Lagway coming off a hamstring injury. So I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah, and it's funny kind of looking around the landscape of the SEC and the other coaches. Brian Kelly is 26-10 in his time at LSU. If he wins out, they'll finish, 29-10 in his first 3 years. I mean, over the past 3 years in the SEC, the only ones he's not better than is Kirby Smart. You know, Nick Saban's gone. The only and these 2 guys are kind of in his territory, Steve Sarkisian and Josh Heupel.
Yeah.
I would put Brian Kelly kind of on the level with those 3. Now, Heupel hasn't been in the postseason yet. Sark made the playoffs last year, so we can debate that. But, like, I think if we're doing, like, tiers, it's Kirby still at the top.
Yeah.
But I think next tier is Heupel, Sark, and Kelly. We'll see what DeBoer is. I mean, DeBoer's looking pretty good in year 1. I don't want to put him in that tier just yet. But, like, for LSU fans who are like, fire Brian Kelly and all this, would you rather what Hugh Freeze is doing?
Right.
Shea Beavis had a nice year, but his last 3 years, they missed a bowl game last year.
Yeah.
Sam Pittman at Arkansas. Like you still have one of the best coaches in the SEC.
Yeah.
It's just, you have that
You're
standard.
also playing in the SEC. Like it's like this doesn't get easy. Like you lost to a Texas A&M team that's ranked top 15 in the country. You lost to a Bama team that's ranked top 15 in the country, top 10. You lost to USC, who is like, I mean, there's athletes out there.
That game. I mean, the A&M game you had a lead, the USC game you had a lead. The Bama game was the first Bama game, and then the Tennessee game 2 years ago against Hendon Hooker. those are really Brian Kelly's only 2 blowout losses. I guess the SEC championship where they had no chance against that Georgia team. But like those are really his 3 bad losses at LSU. When you count on one hand the bad losses, like doing a pretty good job, all things considered.
Agreed.
All right. More to come here on Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We'll preview the rest of the slate in SEC Week 12 coming up next. But first, I want to remind you guys, today's episode is presented to you by our friends over at Omaha Steaks. And for you guys who have not checked it out yet, you need to go check out our friends at Omaha Steaks. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. And this year, you can skip the holiday hustle and bustle and save 50% off gourmet gifts site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off with promo code College. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience, and the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages starting at $89.99. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code College and a $30 reward card when you shop early. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com. and an extra $30 off with promo code College. Minimum purchase may apply. I'm telling you guys, I do Omaha Steaks every year around this time. Nothing better, no better gift to give. And hey, you got me on your shopping list. Go ahead and add me to the list because I'll take some Omaha Steaks. They are delicious. omahasteaks.com. Go check them out today. All right, as we continue on with our buddy Chris Marler. Marler, we get into some of the more intriguing games of this weekend. Let's start at 3:15 Central, 4:15 Eastern on the SEC Network. It is number 23 Mizzou at number 21 South Carolina. This is a sneaky good matchup because Mizzou, let's be honest, was lucky to get out with the win over Oklahoma last week, but they remain 7-2. They know they have a chance to win out and still get to 10-2. But for South Carolina, man, Shane Beamer's crew, they've been, it seems like, peaking at the right time. They get the monster home win at Texas A&M. They get the big win at Vanderbilt last week. When I was putting them on upset alert. I thought Vandy at home, the way they've been playing, to hold Vandy to just 7 points. This defense is rolling and the offense is rolling. Lenore Sellers and Rocket Sanders together, man, an incredible 1-2 punch. I don't know, man. I keep looking at this and saying South Carolina at home. I just can't doubt them anymore.
I agree. Hold on. Hey, I'm recording. Okay. Bye. Love you. Bye. My bad. So here's the thing. South Carolina, I'm glad that you're bought in because like it has taken a while for a lot of people to buy in, and they are a really, really good team. Dude, I hate to say it, but like what they did against Vanderbilt is like one of the best things on their resume. And that's not even a shot to either of those teams. It's just Vanderbilt's been a really good football team this year. And you look at Vandy's resume, right? Went on the road, beat Kentucky by 14, or I think it was by 14. Yeah. You played Texas at home, lost by 3. You played Bama at home. You beat them by, by 5. Like South Carolina played Vandy better than any other team has played Vandy all season long. And that's a big deal. I really do think it's a big deal. So I love the fact that South Carolina has come in, kind of taken over here and done really well with everything they've had in year 4 of Beamer. Here's the thing. The Missouri game, Missouri's beaten you 5 years in a row. 5 years in a row.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that part is concerning. You're a 14-point favorite. I think South Carolina wins this game outright. I think South Carolina is winning out this year, just flat out. I've said this for weeks. I think they're going to win out. But covering the spread, if you're going to go visit our friends on FanDuel, here's a stat for you. SEC road underdogs are 17-4-1 against the spread this year on the road as an underdog. 17-4-1. It's the best record through 11 games that any conference has had from a road underdog since 1990. So I do think that they are going to keep it somewhat close. I think there's a lot of pride they're still fighting for over there with Mizzou. And here's the thing too: Mizzou's got a good defense. They're ranked 10th nationally in yards allowed. So they still are going to have some things that they're going to give some fits to Lenore Sellers in the offense a little bit early. But I do think that the South Carolina wins.
Yeah, the other problem for Mizzou is they've officially listed Brady Cook as doubtful. It means they got to lean on Drew Pine again. And I know Eli Drinkowitz was praising Pine at the end of that game, and yes, he made some nice throws late, but much of that game he stunk again. And so
bad.
Look, I just can't. I can't see it. I can't see that Pine's going to play. He would have to play his best game of the year to beat South Carolina this weekend. I just don't see it. So I'm with you. We're riding with South Carolina, man. Shane Beamer, big pat on the back for him. He'll beat Wofford next week, and then it's all about that Clemson game. And man, you're really talking about you can finish 9-3 with a win over Clemson and go to a nice bowl game, and you'll really be looking back at those Bama and LSU games going, what if, right? If we just could have pulled out one of those, we'd be in the playoff hunt right now. I didn't have South Carolina anywhere near the playoff conversation at the start of this year.
No.
One other one here, Marler, I wanted to touch on the Texas at Arkansas. Intriguing one because it's early. It's 11 a.m. Central on ABC. It's number 3 Texas at 5-4 Arkansas. And Texas is sitting at about a 2-touchdown favorite over in FanDuel. And the last time we saw this game, Arkansas beat Texas at home, demolished them. That was Sark's first year, Sam Pittman. So same coaches, right? I mean, it's the same head coaches. A little bit of a different scenario. If this were a night game in Fayetteville, we saw them get up for that Tennessee game a few weeks ago where they pulled off the massive upset. But the last couple home games for Arkansas have not looked good, right? I mean, they've given up a ton of yards to LSU. Any chance Arkansas? I mean, look, Taylor Green, Bob Petrino, they're saying Jaquindon Jackson is healthy and ready to go. That's what Sam Pittman said. I don't know if that's true, but that would be huge if they can get their leading rusher back and maybe give Texas a game. I don't know where I am on Texas. I got a Texas friend talking trash to me on Monday saying I thought the SEC was hard. I'm like, bro, y'all beat
you played no one.
A Yale quarterback named Aiden Warner is who you played this week.
Dude, it is Greg Sankey and what he has allowed Texas to walk into. It is one of the most coddled, weirdly, like, you know what? We're gonna pat you on the back, tell you you're adorable and you're doing great and blah, blah. Like, it is the weirdest thing that they allowed. They came into this league with Oklahoma and they gave Oklahoma a gauntlet, like a gauntlet. And they were like, you know what? No, Georgia, you get a gauntlet. Florida, don't even show up. Like, unbelievable. And then it was like, you know what, Texas, road game at Vandy. You're going to dodge LSU. You're going to get Georgia at home. You're going to dodge Bama. You're going to, and like, dude, like, they don't play Ole Miss, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what is happening? How did that happen? They don't play Missouri. Like, these are all teams that were like
any of the ranked SEC teams.
Yeah, they don't play South Carolina. Like, every team that's ranked in the SEC, Texas played one of them, and they've lost to them. And to be flat out clear, they got boat raced by them. They get A&M at the end of the year at A&M. But like, dude, you gave this team a 2-team schedule the entire season, and then sat here and be like, "Oh, the SEC was hard." Like, shut up, dude. Like, it's ridiculous.
Now, we'll give them credit for the road game at Michigan, right? Michigan was the reigning champs, but they lost everything, and they're clearly not the same people. But they didn't know that when they scheduled it, right?
At least they scheduled it, right?
Yeah, at least they scheduled that. I'd be way more pissed if Texas had played, I don't know, like Alcorn State and like 4 teams.
But they did. Everyone else they have played a schedule that is ranked 55th in the SEC through 10 games or through 9 games. 55th. That is the lowest in the SEC by far. Dude, there are 8 of the 16 teams are ranked in the top 10. Like, that's how far back you have to be in terms of who you played. 8 of the top 10 teams in the country for strength of schedule are from the SEC. Texas is somehow 55th. That's almost impossible to do.
Well, what you need to root for is A&M last week to be like, let's say A&M loses to Auburn next week, which isn't crazy. At Auburn, weird things happen. And then A&M to beat Texas the last week, because the tiebreaker would come into effect on who goes to Atlanta.
Right.
And I don't know if you've seen the tiebreakers among the 2 lost teams. Texas would be dead last because it would go to strength of conference schedule.
Yeah.
And they play nobody. So it would ding them tremendously. Like, they wouldn't even go to Atlanta because it comes into play. So we'll see there. All right. We got one more game we got to get into with Marler. More Locked On SEC here in just a second. But first, I want to remind you guys, today's episode is presented by our friends over at FanDuel. Look, no better place to get in on all the action. Get ready to tackle the college games, the NFL games, all at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on college and the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. Never signed up before? Go get yourself signed up. Download the app. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel. They are the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, as we jump back into it with our buddy Chris Marler. Marler, we have got one more game left to preview, and so much of this is riding on Nico Iamaleava and his health as we talk about the number 7 Tennessee Vols, who are 8-1 at 7-2 Georgia, 12th ranked Georgia. It still looks weird to see the number 12 next to Georgia in the rankings, but I mean, this line has been about double digits all week, Marla. I couldn't believe it. Like, if I'd have settled a line, I would have said, maybe Georgia -6, -10, or 10.5, depending on where you're looking. Of course, check out FanDuel, but man, nothing against Gaston Moore, but I think this almost feels like the LSU Florida game. Like, if Aiden Warner starts for Florida, they got no chance. If DJ Lagway plays, they have a chance. Same thing with Tennessee, Georgia. If Nico plays, Tennessee's got a chance. Yeah. If they go with Gaston Moore, I think they have no chance.
Yeah, if he's able to eat 5 dozen eggs every morning and go out and be trophy hunter and all that kind of stuff, get a big bulldog on the wall. That's a Beauty and the Beast reference, guys. I'm sorry. I like that you got it right off the bat. Okay, so here's the deal. This game, I'm hammering the under 48.5. I don't feel great about it, but I'll tell you Georgia's side first, because I think that's where everyone's leaning to. Georgia is at home in this game. For whatever reason, Kirby Smart has owned Josh Heupel. He has figured out this offense. A lot of teams haven't, but he has figured out this offense. In 3 years against Josh Heupel, he's allowed 40 total points. 40 total points, right? So they have had in 2021, that offense averaged 39 points per game. Georgia held them to 17, 22 points below their season average. In 2022, they held them to 13 points, which was 33 points below their season average. Then last year, I think their season average was let me look at it real quick, was 31 or 32 points per game. They held them to 13. So that is what I can't do the math. I think it's 19 points below their season average. I mean, that is significantly under what this team does to everyone else. Georgia has figured out a way to stop them. Now, all that being said, this Tennessee team, we talk about the offense all the time, talk about Nico and Josh Heupel and all the weapons they have there, and Sampson and all of that, but with good reason. This defense, I had this conversation with Sean Fox this morning on ESPN. He said, ESPN Monroe, he said, they're pretty good defense. And I was like, they're not a pretty good defense. They're not a really good defense. They are a historically good defense. And people aren't saying that about them, which is kind of crazy to me, because you look at the way this defense has performed. They haven't allowed 20 points or more in a game all season long. They haven't allowed 20 points or more dating back to the bowl game against Iowa last year. It's the first time since 1966 they've done that as a program. And you look at the SEC historically, there's only 3 other teams that have done that in the last 25 years, and that's 2011 Bama, 2016 Bama, and 2021 Georgia, which are considered 3 of the best defenses, not only in the history of the SEC, but in the history of college football. So all of that, I love this Tennessee defense. I think the biggest thing people say about Carson Beck and when he struggles, Saban said it on game day at the start of the year, and I just thought it was an afterthought. If you get him off his spot and you make him move his feet, he is a different quarterback. And Tennessee, as you saw in the Alabama game, as you've seen several other times, they will get after his ass the entire game, and they are going to be in the backfield a lot because that offensive line has some holes in it, man.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And it's funny. I mean, Carson Beck has not been good lately. I mean, it's the turnovers have been coming. I mean, he only had the one against Ole Miss, but that offense has been out of sync. Georgia fans want to fire Mike Bobo, but
they always want to fire Bobo.
I mean, if you can make any bet on this one, doesn't it seem like 48.5 is a lot of points for a total with 2 really good defenses. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. This one feels like the final score could be 23-16 or something.
Yeah.
Really low scoring.
Yeah, that's what I would take. I mean, that would be my bet. And listen, I'm not saying all that to say that I think Georgia is going to lose this game. They're at home. It's a back against the wall situation. I don't think any of us can fathom Georgia not making a 12-team playoff. I believe that. So I think they can win. But man, like, dude, I mean, they better hope. I mean, they better hope that the backup quarterback's playing, because if it's Nico and they're full, full metal jacket, like I don't think it's going to be good for Georgia.
Yeah, and Dylan Sampson, by the way, he's been the best rusher in the SEC far and away.
Yeah,
statistically, I think he's got 200 yards more than Jarquez Hunter and the guys behind him. So it's maybe Tennessee just leans on their bread and butter, but again, like that line being double digits just feels like that everybody's saying what you're saying. Like Georgia can't take a third loss. Like if Georgia takes a third loss, Kirby Smart, all that talk about dynasty and all this is out the window, man. And we have to really he has to start evaluate what they're doing there. Do I have the right?
Dude, imagine them making the Cheez-It Bowl.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing when I see for some fans. Like LSU fans are so excited about maybe making the playoff, and then it's like Music City Bowl. Like, oh God, like people are just like, we got to do something about the bowl system, because now that the 12-team playoff means everything. People are like, no players are going to play in these stupid bowl games.
I would love to go to the Music City Bowl.
Would you?
I'd rather go there than Tampa.
I like the Vegas Bowl.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Shout out Texas Bowl, sponsor of the show. We appreciate the Texas Bowl. That's a fun one. You get to have a rodeo and wear a cowboy hat. But yeah, man, it's just like the drop off from like, we don't make the 12-team playoff to go play for a championship. Some of these other bowl games, you better really sweeten the pot on the best buy gift cards and PlayStations and all that. Like, you got to sweeten the pot there for the players.
Yeah.
So we shall see. He's Chris Marler. Let everybody know where they can find your stuff, man.
No. Vern Dumquist on Twitter, Vern Funquist CFB on Instagram, Fourth and Wrong Pod, Locked on Gamecocks, and over there at LouisianaSports.net and at 104.5 ESPN in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, and you can catch Marler working behind the bar somewhere this
weekend. We're close to it.
That's good to do for this edition of Locked on SEC. You guys have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday. Good luck to all your teams. We'll have our winners and losers on Monday's edition of Locked on SEC. Come on back and see us then.